Okay, tonight is the 9th of September 2011. This is the second night we are speaking on the Therigatha. Tonight we come to verse 224 by Upalavana. Both of us, mother and daughter, were co-wives. Of me there was religious excitement, amazing, hair-raising. 225. Woe upon sensual pleasures, impure, evil-smelling, with many troubles, wherein we, mother and daughter, were co-wives. 226. Having seen the peril in sensual pleasures, and seeing renunciation of the world as firm security, I went forth at Rajagaha from the home to the homeless state. 227. I know that I have lived before. The Deva I has been purified, and there is knowledge of the state of mind of others. The ear element has been purified. 228. Psychic power too has been realized by me. I have attained the annihilation of the asavas. These 6 supernormal knowledges have been realized by me. The Buddha's teaching has been done. 229. Having fashioned a 4-horse chariot by supernormal power, having paid homage to the Buddha's feet, the glorious protector of the world, I stood on one side. And then this is Mara talking to this Upalavana, probably in the forest. Going up to a tree with well-flowered top, you stand there alone at the foot of the tree. You have not even any companion. O child, are you not afraid of rogues? And she said, 231. Even if 100,000 rogues like you were to come together, I should not move a hair's breadth. I should not even shake. What will you alone do to me, Mara? 232. I shall disappear, or I shall enter into your belly. I shall stand between your eyebrows. You will not see me standing there. 233. I have mastery over my mind. The basis of supernormal power have been well developed. The 6 supernormal knowledges have been realized by me. The Buddha's teaching has been done. 234. Sensual pleasures are like swords and stakes. The elements of existence are a chopping block for them. What you call delight in sensual pleasures is now non-delight for me. 235. Everywhere, enjoyment of pleasure is defeated. The mass of darkness is torn asunder. Thus know, evil one, you are defeated and maker. We come to a group of 16 verses. Punika 236. I am a water carrier. Even in the cold, I have always gone down to the water, terrified by fear of punishment from noble ladies, harassed by fear of abuse and displeasure. And this nun said to her, 237, afraid of what, O Brahmin? Have you always gone down to the cold water? With trembling limbs you experience very great cold. 238. But already knowing the answer, Lady Punika, you ask one who is doing good action and blocking off evil action. And Punika said, 239, whoever, whether young or old, does an evil action, even he is released from his evil action by ablution in water. Submerging oneself in water and cleaning. And the nun said, 240, who indeed told you this, ignorant of the ignorant? Truly he is released from his evil action by ablution in water. 241. Now if this is so, all frogs and turtles will go to heaven, and alligators and crocodiles and other water dwellers. 242. Sheep butchers, pork butchers, fishermen, animal trappers, thieves and executioners, and other evil doers, even they will be released from their evil action by ablution in water. 243. If these streams carried away for you the evil previously done, they would carry away your merit too. Thereby you would be outside or devoid of both. 244. Do not do the very thing, O Brahmin, of which being afraid you have always gone down to the water. O Brahmin, do not let the cold strike your skin. And this Punika was a Brahmin lady, but a poor one. She was like a servant. And then Punika said, 245, Noble lady, you have brought me, entered upon the wrong way, back into the noble way. I give you this water ablution robe. And the nun said, 246, let the robe be yours only. I do not want the robe. If you are afraid of pain, if pain is unpleasant for you, do not do an evil action, either openly or in secret. But if you do or will do an evil action, there is no release from pain for you, even if flying up and running away. If you are afraid of pain, if pain is unpleasant for you, go to the Venerable Buddha as a refuge, to the Dhamma and to the Sangha. Undertake the rules of virtuous conduct. That will be to your advantage. And Punika said, 250, I go to the Venerable Buddha as a refuge, to the Dhamma and to the Sangha. I undertake the rules of virtuous conduct. That will be to my advantage. 251, formerly I was a kinsman of Brahma. Today I am truly a Brahmana. I possess the triple knowledge. I am endowed with knowledge, and I am versed in sacred law, and I am washed clean. This is interesting here. The nun scolded her. Who told you this? Ignorant of the ignorant. By cleaning yourself with water, you can wash away your evil sins. If that is so, all the frogs and turtles will go to heaven, and alligators and crocodiles and other water dwellers. Just like some people, they think by doing certain things, like just taking vegetarian food, is so meritorious they can go to heaven. So in the same way, then if that is so, then all the buffaloes and the goats and all that will go to heaven. So it's not that we're trying to talk bad of vegetarianism, but the simile occurs to me. It's quite similar here. Group of 20 verses, Amba Pali, 252. This is very interesting. You listen to these verses, extremely interesting. Amba Pali was a former courtesan, high-class prostitute, and she was very much sought after. 252. My hair was black, like the color of bees, with curly ends. Because of old age, it is like bark fibers of hemp. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 253. Full of flowers, my head was fragrant like a perfume box. Now because of old age, it smells like dog's fur. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 254. Thick was my hair as a well-planted grove, made beautiful, having the ends parted by comb and pin. Because of old age, it is thin here and there. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 255. Possessing fine pins, decorated with gold, adorned with plates, it looked beautiful. Because of old age, that head has been made bald. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 256. Formerly my eyebrows looked beautiful, like crescents well painted by artists. Because of old age, they droop down with wrinkles. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 257. My eyes were shining, very brilliant like jewels, very black and long. Overwhelmed by old age, they do not look beautiful. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 258. In the bloom of my youth, my nose looked beautiful like a delicate peak. Because of old age, it is like a flower spike of long pepper. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 259. My earlobes look beautiful, like well-fashioned and well-finished bracelets. Because of old age, they droop down with wrinkles. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 260. Formerly, my teeth looked beautiful, like the color of the bud of the plantain or banana plant. Because of old age, they are broken indeed and yellow. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 261. Sweet was my warbling, like a cuckoo wandering in the grove in the jungle thicket. Because of old age, it has faltered here and there. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 262. Formerly my neck looked beautiful, like a well-rubbed, delicate conch shell. Because of old age, it is broken and bowed down. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 263. Formerly both my arms looked beautiful, like round crossbars. Because of old age, they are weak as the patali tree. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 264. Formerly my hands looked beautiful, possessing delicate signet rings, decorated with gold. Because of old age, they are like onions and radishes. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 265. Formerly both my breasts looked beautiful, swelling, round, close together, lofty. Now they hang like a waterless water bags. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 266. Formerly my body looked beautiful, like a well-polished sheet of gold. Now it is covered with very fine wrinkles. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 267. Formerly both my thighs looked beautiful, like an elephant's trunk. Because of old age, they are like stalks of bamboo. Not otherwise is the speaker of truth. 268. Formerly my calves looked beautiful, possessing delicate anklets, decorated with gold. Because of old age, they are like sticks of sesame. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 269. Formerly both my feet looked beautiful, like shoes full of cotton wool. Because of old age, they are cracked and wrinkled. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. 270. Such was this body. Now it is decrepit, the abode of many pains, an old home with its plaster fallen off. Not otherwise is the utterance of the speaker of truth. So nice. Huh? All of us, when we are young, we look so beautiful, but when we grow old, we look so ugly. That is nature. But it's interesting here, she doesn't mention that she attained enlightenment. So she may not have attained enlightenment. Because these are verses of the theories, and theories means elder nuns. It doesn't really mean arahants. Most of them are arahants. You think of it, when she was in her younger days, she was the most beautiful girl around. Now she's so ugly. And all of us will end up like that. Rohini, 271. Lady, you fell asleep saying ascetics. You wake up saying ascetics. You praise only ascetics or samanas. Assuredly you will be an ascetic. 272. You bestow much food and drink upon ascetics. Rohini, now I ask you, why are ascetics dear to you? 273. Not dutiful, lazy, living on what is given by others, full of expectation, desirous of sweet things. Why are ascetics dear to you? This one is a father asking the daughter, why you so venerate these samanas, these monks or ascetics. And she replied, 274, truly for a long time you have been questioning me about ascetics, father. I shall praise to you their wisdom, virtuous conduct and effort. 275. They are dutiful, not lazy, doers of the best of actions. They abandon desire and hatred. Therefore, ascetics are dear to me. 276. They shake off the three roots of evil, doing pure actions. All their evil is eliminated. Therefore, ascetics are dear to me. 277. The body karma is pure. Their speech karma is likewise. Their mind karma is pure. Therefore, ascetics are dear to me. 278. They are spotless like mother of pearl, purified inside and out, full of good mental states. Therefore, ascetics are dear to me. 279. Having great learning, expert in the Dhamma, noble, living in accordance with the Dhamma. They teach the goal and the Dhamma. Therefore, ascetics are dear to me. 280. Having great learning, expert in the Dhamma, noble, living in accordance with the Dhamma, with intent minds, they are possessed of mindfulness. Therefore, ascetics are dear to me. 281. Traveling far, possessed of mindfulness, speaking in moderation, not conceited, they comprehend the end of pain. Therefore, ascetics are dear to me. 282. If they go from any village, they do not look back longingly at anything. They go without longing indeed. Therefore, ascetics are dear to me. 283. They do not deposit their property in a storeroom, nor in a pot, nor in a basket, rather seeking that which is cooked. Therefore, ascetics are dear to me. 284. They do not take gold, coined or uncoined, or silver. They live by means of whatever turns up. Therefore, ascetics are dear to me. 285. Those who have gone forth are of various families and from various countries. Nevertheless, they are friendly to one another. Therefore, ascetics are dear to me. And the father said, 286, truly for our sake, lady, you were born in our family, Rohini. You have faith in the Buddha and the Dhamma and keen reverence for the Sangha. 287. You indeed comprehend this unsurpassed field of merit. These ascetics will receive our gift too. For here an extensive sacrifice will be set up for us. And Rohini said, 288. If you are afraid of pain, if pain is unpleasant to you, go to the Venerable Buddha as a refuge, to the Dhamma and to the Sangha. Undertake the rules of virtuous conduct. That will be to your advantage. And the father said, 289. I go to the Venerable Buddha as a refuge, to the Dhamma and to the Sangha. I undertake the rules of virtuous conduct. That will be to my advantage. And Rohini said, 290. Formerly I was a kinsman of Brahma. That means she was a Brahmin. Now I am truly a Brahmana. I possess the triple knowledge and am versed in the sacred law or knowledge and have complete mastery of knowledge, and I am washed clean. The next one is Chapa. The first verse is spoken by this husband, Kala. 291. Formerly I carried a staff. Now I am a deer hunter. Because of craving, I have not been able to go from the terrible mire to the far shore. 292. Thinking me very enamored of her, Chapa has kept our son happy. Having cut Chapa's bond, I shall go forth again. So this husband called Kala, he wanted to renounce. And Chapa said, 293, do not be angry with me, great hero. Do not be angry with me, great sage. For there is no purity for one overcome by anger. How much less is there austerity? And Kala said, 294, I shall go out from Nala. Who will live here at Nala? At Nala, women bind ascetics living in accordance with the Dhamma by means of their figures. And Chapa said, 295, come Kala, turn back, enjoy sensual pleasures as before. Both I shall be under your control, and also whatever relatives I have. And Kala said, 296, if indeed a fourth part of this were as you say, Chapa, truly that would be excellent for a man in love with you. And Chapa said, 297, O Kala, like a sprouting takari tree in flower on the crest of a mountain, like a flowering dalika creeper, like a patali tree in the middle of an island, with my body smeared with yellow sandalwood paste, wearing my best muslin garments, being beautiful, why do you go abandoning me? And Kala said, 299, just as a fowler wishes to snare a bird, so do you by means of your charming figure. You will not fasten me. And Chapa said, 300, but this child fruit of mine, Kala, begotten by you, why do you go abandoning me, possessing this child? And Kala said, 301, wise men leave their sons and their relatives and their wealth. Great heroes go forth like an elephant having broken his fastening. 302, Chapa says, now I shall knock down to the ground on the spot this son of yours with stick or knife. Because of grief for your son, you will not go. And Kala said, 303, if you give our son to the jackals and dogs, he will not turn me back again for the child's sake, O wretched one. And Chapa said, 304, then fare you well now. Where will you go, Kala? To what village, town, city, royal capital? And Kala said, 305, formerly we were leaders of groups, not ascetics, thinking ourselves ascetics. We wandered from village, to cities and royal capitals. But it will be different now. For the Blessed One, the Buddha, alongside the river Naranjara, has taught the Dhamma to living creatures for the abandonment of all pain. I shall go to his presence. He will be my teacher. And Chapa says, 307, you should utter my greeting now to the unsurpassed protector of the world, and having circumambulated him, you should dedicate my gift. And Kala said, 308, this indeed is proper for us, as you say, Chapa. Now I should utter your greeting to the unsurpassed protector of the world, and having circumambulated him, I shall dedicate your gift. And then Kala went out alongside the river Naranjara. He saw the enlightened one teaching the state of the undying, pain, the uprising of pain, and the overcoming of pain, the noble eightfold path leading to the stilling of pain. Having saluted his feet, having circumambulated him, having dedicated the gift from Chapa, he went forth into the homeless state. The three knowledges have been obtained. The Buddha's teaching has been done. Surprising, this verses is mostly on the Kala rather than on Chapa. It's the Kala that renounced. It's the man that renounced, not the woman. Okay, the next one is on Sundari. 312. This first one, 312, spoken by the Brahmin Sujata. And I think she was talking to her wife, Vaseti. He said, lady, formerly when causing to be eaten your sons who had passed away, you mourn excessively day and night. Today, having caused 7 children in all to be eaten, O Brahmin lady Vaseti, why do you not mourn greatly? This one, maybe all the 7 children died. And then Vaseti replied, 314, many hundreds of sons and hundreds of groups of relatives of mine and of yours have been caused to be eaten in the past, Brahmin. I, knowing the escape from birth and death, now do not grieve or lament, nor do I mourn. So she has understood the Dhamma, so even the relatives passed away, or her son, she doesn't mourn anymore. And then the Brahmin Sujata said, 316, such a truly amazing utterance you speak, Vaseti, knowing whose doctrine do you speak such a word? And Vaseti replied, that enlightened one, O Brahmin, near the city of Mithila, has taught the Dhamma to living creatures for the abandonment of all pain. I, Brahmin, having heard that Arahant's Dhamma without basis for rebirth, knowing the true Dhamma there, have thrust away grief for my sons. And then this Brahmin Sujata said, I too shall go near the city of Mithila. Perhaps that Blessed One may release me from all pain. The Brahmin saw the Buddha completely released without basis for rebirth. The sage who has reached the far shore of pain taught him the Dhamma. Pain, the uprising of pain and the overcoming of pain, the noble eightfold path leading to the stilling of pain. Knowing the true Dhamma there, he found pleasure in going forth. After 3 nights, the Brahmin Sujata attained the 3 knowledges. And he told his driver, the charioteer, come, charioteer, go, take back this chariot, bid the Brahmin lady good health, and say, the Brahmin has now gone forth. After 3 nights, Sujata has attained the 3 knowledges. And then taking the chariot and the 1,000 pieces, should be of money, the charioteer bade the Brahmin lady good health and said, "The Brahmin has now gone forth. After 3 nights, Sujata has attained the 3 knowledges." And then the lady, Vaseti, said, 325, "Having heard that the Brahmin has the triple knowledge, I give you this horse and chariot and 1,000 pieces too, a full bowl, as a present made to anyone who brings good news." And the driver said, 326, "May the horse and chariot and the 1,000 pieces too be yours, Brahmin lady. I too shall go forth in the presence of the one of excellent wisdom." So even the driver also wants to renounce. And he said, "Abandoning elephants, cows and horses, jewels and rings, this rich domestic wealth, your father has gone forth. Enjoy enjoyment, Sundari. You are the heir in the family." So now he's talking to the daughter of this Brahmin, Sujata. Her name is Sundari. And Sundari said, so all the wealth goes to the only child, I think, Sundari. And Sundari said, 328, "Abandoning elephants, cows and horses, jewels and rings, and this delightful domestic wealth, my father has gone forth, afflicted by grief for his son. I too shall go forth, afflicted by grief for my brother." And the driver said, "May the intention of yours which you seek prosper, Sundari. Leftover scraps and gleanings as food, and a rag from a dust heap as a robe, these are sufficient. You will be without asavas in the next world." And Sundari said, this one Sundari must be talking to the nun, "Noble lady, the Deva I is purified as I undergo training. I know my former lives, where I lived before. Relying on you, O lovely one, O beauty of the Sangha of theories, the 3 knowledges have been obtained. The Buddha's teaching has been done. Allow me, noble lady, I wish to go to Savatthi. I shall roar, alliance roar, in the presence of the excellent Buddha." So this Sundari, after going forth, she trained under this Arahan nun who was extremely beautiful, could be Upalavana or Kema, the 2 chief nuns. And the nun said to her, "Sundari, see the teacher, golden colored, with golden skin, the tamer of the untamed, the enlightened one, who has no fear from any quarter." And then she went to see the Buddha, and the Buddha said, "See Sundari coming, completely released, without basis for rebirth, rid of desire, unfettered, her task done, without asavas." And Sundari said, "Having gone out from Varanasi, having come into your presence, your disciple Sundari pays homage to your feet, great hero. You are the Buddha, you are the teacher, I am your daughter, Brahmana, your true child, born from your mouth, my task done without asavas." And the Buddha said, "Then welcome to you, good lady, not unwelcome are you, for thus the tamed come, paying homage to the Master's feet, rid of desire, unfettered, the task done without asavas." The next one is Uba, the smith's daughter, the blacksmith's daughter, 338. "I was young, with clean clothes, when previously I heard the Dhamma. There was comprehension of the 4 truths for me, vigilant." 339. "Then I attained great non-delight in all sensual pleasures, seeing fear in identity, Sakaya. I long only for renunciation of the world." 340. "Having left the group of relatives, slaves and servants, the rich fields and villages, and delightful and pleasant possessions, I went forth, abandoning no small wealth." 341. "Thus having renounced the world in faith, the true Dhamma having been well preached, it would not be fitting for me, having laid aside gold and silver, to take them back again, for I desire nothing." 342. "Silver and gold are not conducive to enlightenment or peace. This is not proper for ascetics. This is not the wealth of the noble ones. 343. This is being greedy and intoxication, stupefaction, increase of defilement, full of suspicions and with many troubles. There is here no permanent stability. 344. Many men who are infatuated with this and careless, with defiled minds, being obstructed one by another, make a quarrel, slaughter, bonds, calamity, loss, grief, and lamentation. Much misfortune is seen of those who have fallen into sensual pleasures. O relatives, why do you, like enemies, urge me on towards sensual pleasures? You know that I have gone forth, seeing fear in sensual pleasures. 347. The asavas do not diminish because of gold, coin or uncoined. Sensual pleasures are enemies, murderous, hostile, binding with ropes. 348. O relatives, why do you, like enemies, urge me on towards sensual pleasures? You know that I have gone forth with shaven head, clad in the outer robe. 349. Leftover scraps and gleanings as food, and a rag from a dust heap as a robe. This indeed is proper for me, the basic essentials for a homeless one. 350. Sensual pleasures, those which are divine and those which are human, have been rejected by the great seers. They are completely released in the place of security. They have arrived at unshakable happiness. 351. May I not meet again with sensual pleasures, in which no refuge is found. Sensual pleasures are enemies, murderous, like a mass of fire, painful. 352. Greed is an obstacle, full of fear, full of annoyance, full of thorns, and is very disagreeable. It is a great cause of stupefaction. 353. Sensual pleasures are like a frightful attack, like a snake's head, which fools delight in. Blind, ordinary individuals. 354. For people are attached to the mud of sensual pleasures. Many in the world are ignorant. They do not know the end of birth and death. 355. Because of sensual pleasures, men enter very much upon the way which goes to a bad destination, bringing disease to themselves. 356. Thus, sensual pleasures are enemy-producing, burning, defiling, the lures of the world, constraining, the bonds of death. 257. Sensual pleasures are maddening, deceiving, agitating the mind, a net spread out by Mara for the defilement of creatures. 358. Sensual pleasures have endless perils, they have much pain, they are great poisons, they give little enjoyment, they cause conflict, drying up the good party. 359. I, having caused such misfortune because of sensual pleasures, shall not return to them again, always delighting in quenching. 360. Having been in conflict with sensual pleasures, being desirous of the cool state, I shall dwell vigilant in the annihilation of their fetters. 361. I shall follow that griefless, stainless, secure, eightfold straight path by which the great seers have crossed. 362. See this Subha, the smith's daughter, standing firm in the Dhamma. Having entered the immovable state, she meditates at the foot of a tree. 363. Today is the eighth day. She went forth full of faith, beautiful by reason of the true Dhamma, instructed by Upalavana, with triple knowledge, having left death behind. 364. This one is a freed slave, without debt, none with developed faculties, unfettered from all ties, a task done, without asavas. 365. Sakka, the Lord of beings, approaching by supernormal powers with a group of devas, reveres that Subha, the smith's daughter. I come to the group of 30 verses. Subha, Jiva, Kamba, Vanika, 366. A rogue stopped the nun, Subha. This is another one very interesting. A rogue stopped the nun, Subha, as she was going to the delightful Jiva Kamba wood. Subha said this to him: What wrong has been done to you by me that you stand obstructing me? For it is not fitting, sir, that a man should touch a woman who has gone forth. which training was taught by the well-farer in my teacher's severe teaching. Why do you stand obstructing me, who am possessing the purified state without blemish? 269. Why do you, with disturbed mind and with passion, stand obstructing me, who am undisturbed, with passion departed, without blemish, with mind completely released in every respect? And this young man said, 370. You are young and not ugly. What will going forth do for you? Throw away your yellow robe. Come, let us delight in the flowery wood. 371. The towering trees send forth a sweet smell in all directions with the pollen of flowers. The beginning of spring is a happy season. Come, let us delight in the flowery wood. 372. At the same time, the trees with blossoming crests cry out, as it were, when shaken by the wind. What delight will there be for you if you plunge alone into the wood? 373. You wish to go without companion to the lonely, frightening great wood, frequented by birds, by herds of beasts of prey, disturbed by cow elephants, who are excited by bull elephants. 374. You will go about like a doll made of gold, like an achara in Chittaratha, O incomparable one. You will shine with beautiful garments of fine muslin, with excellent clothes. 375. I should be under your command if we were to dwell inside the grove, for there is no creature dearer to me than you, O Kinari Devi, with pleasant eyes. 376. If you will do my bidding, being made happy, come, inhabit a home. You will be dwelling in the calm of a palace. Let women do attendance upon you. 377. Wear garments of fine muslin, put on garlands and unguents. I shall make much varied adornment for you, of gold, jewels, and pearls. 378. Climb onto a bed with a coverlet well washed of dirt, beautiful, spread with a woolen quilt, new, very costly, decorated with sandalwood, having an excellent smell. 379. Just as a blue lotus with beautiful blossoms rising up from the water is resorted to by non-men or non-humans, so you, O liver of the holy life, will go to old age with your limbs your own, untouched by a man. And Subha says, 380. What is approved of as essence by you here in the body, which is full of corpses, filling the cemetery of a breaking nature, which essence, having seen, you look at me, being out of your mind? And he said, 381, your eyes are indeed like those of Turi, like those of a Kinari inside a mountain. Having seen your eyes, my delight in sensual pleasures increases more. 382, having seen your eyes in your face, to be compared with the bud of a blue lotus, spotless like gold, my strand of sensual pleasures increases more. 383. Even though you have gone far away, I shall remember you, O one of the long eyelashes, O one of the pure gaze, for no eyes are dearer to me than you, O Kinari Devi with pleasant eyes. And Subha said 384. You wish to go by the wrong path. You seek the moon as a plaything. You wish to jump over Mount Meru. You who pursue a child of the Buddha. 385. For there would not now be anywhere in the world, together with the Devas, any object of desire for me. I do not even know what sort it is, but it has been smitten, root and all, by the Eightfold Path. 386. It has been scattered as though sparks from a pit of burning coals. It has been considered as regards value, like a bowl of poison. I do not even see what sort it is, but it has been smitten, root and all, by the Eightfold Path. 387. By whom this may not have been observed, or by whom the teacher may not have been served, try to seduce such a one. But having seduced this one who knows, you will suffer distress. 388. For my mindfulness is established in the midst of both reviling and praise, happiness and pain. Knowing that conditioned things are disgusting, my mind does not cling to anything at all. 389. I am a disciple of the wayfarer, traveling in the eightfold vehicle, which is the path. My dart drawn out, without asavas, having gone to an empty hut, I rejoice. 390. For well-painted puppets or dolls have been seen by me, fastened by strings and sticks, made to dance in various ways. 391. These strings and sticks having been removed, thrown away, mutilated, scattered, not to be found, broken into pieces, of what there would one fix the mind. 392. This little body, being of such a kind, does not exist without these phenomena, as it does not exist without phenomena. On what there would one fix one's mind? 393. Just as you have seen a picture made on a wall, smeared with yellow or pigment, on that your gaze has been confused, so the wisdom of men is useless. 394. O blind one, you run after an empty thing, like an illusion placed in front of you, like a golden tree at the end of a dream, like a puppet show in the midst of the people. 395. An eye is like a little ball set in a hollow, having a bubble in the middle with tears. Eye secretion too occurs here. Various sorts of eyes are rolled into balls. 296. Removing it, the good-looking lady, having an unattached mind, was not attached to it, and she said, "Come, take this eye for yourself." Straight away she gave it to this man. 297. And straight away his passion ceased there, and he begged her pardon. Become whole again, liver of the good life. Such a thing will not happen again. Having smitten such a person, having as it were embraced a blazing fire, I have seized a poisonous snake as it were. Become whole again, forgive me. 299. And then that nun, released, went to the presence of the excellent Buddha. Having seen the one possessing the marks of excellent merit, her eye was as before. So this man, infatuated with this beautiful Subha, stopped her, probably nobody around, he might even rape her. So she asked her, "What do you find so attractive in me?" And he said, "The eyes." So she just plucked out her eye and gave it to him. A group of 40 verses, Isi Dasi. This is a very interesting verses that we are going to read. 400. In the flower named city, Pataliputta, in the best part of the earth, there were 2 nuns, members of the Sakyan clan, possessed of good qualities. 401. One of them called Isidasi, the second called Bodhi, both possessed of virtue, delighting in meditation and study, having great learning, with defilements shaken off. 402. They, having wandered for alms, having made their meal with washed bowls, seated happily in a lonely place, uttered these words. So these 2 nuns are with defilements shaken off, they are arahants. And Bodhi said to this Isidasi, 403, "You are lovely, noble Isidasi. Your youth has not yet faded. Having seen what fault in the household life, are you then intent on renunciation of the world?" 404. Thus being asked, Isidasi in the lonely place, proficient in the teaching of the Dhamma, spoke this utterance. "Hear, Bodhi, how I went forth." 405. In Ujjaini, best of cities, my father was a merchant, restrained by virtuous conduct. I was his only daughter, dear and charming and beloved. 406. Then from Saketa came men belonging to a most noble family to woo me. A merchant with many jewels sent them. To him my father gave me as a daughter-in-law. 407. Approaching morning and evening, I did obeisance with my head to my father-in-law and mother-in-law. I paid homage to their feet as I had been instructed. 408. Having seen my husband's sisters, or his brothers, or his retinue, even my one and only beloved husband, I trembled and gave them a seat. 409. With food and drink and hard food and what was stored there, I gratified them. I brought it forth and gave what was fitting to each. 410. Arising in good time, that means early, I approached my Lord's house. Having washed my hands and feet, upon the threshold I approached my husband with cupped hands. 411. Taking a comb, decorations, collyrium, and a mirror, I myself adorned my Lord like a servant girl. 412. I myself prepared the rice gruel. I myself washed the bowl. As a mother, her only son, I looked after my husband. 413. My husband offended against me, who in this way had shown him devotion, an affectionate servant with humble pride, an early riser, not lazy, virtuous. 414. He said to his mother and father, having taken leave, I shall go. I shall not be able to live together with Isidasi in one house. 415. And the parents said, do not speak thus, son. Isidasi is learned, clever, an early riser, not lazy. Why does she not please you, son? And he said, 416, she does me no harm, but I shall not live with Isidasi. To me, she is just odious. I have had enough. Having taken leave, I shall go. 417. Hearing his utterance, my father-in-law and mother-in-law asked me, what offense has been committed by you? Speak confidently how it really was. And she said, I have not offended at all. I have not harmed him. I have not said any evil utterance. What can be done when my husband hates me? 419. Downcast, overcome by pain, they led me back to my father's house, saying, while keeping our son safe, we have lost the goddess of beauty incarnate. 420. Then my father gave me to a household of a second rich man belonging to a noble family for half the bride price for which the merchant had taken me. 421. In his house too I lived a month. Then he too rejected me, although I served him like a slave girl, not harming him, possessed of virtue. 422. And my father spoke to one wandering for alms, a tamer of others and self-tame. Be my son-in-law, throw down your cloth and pot. In other words, the father gave her to ascetic, renunciant. 423. He too, having lived with me for a fortnight, then said to my father, give me my cloth and pot and cup back. I shall beg for alms again. 424. Then my father, mother, and all the group of my relatives said to him, what has not been done for you here? Say quickly what may be done for you. 425. Thus spoken to, he said, even if I myself were honored, I have had enough. I shall not be able to live together with Isidasi in one house. 426. Allowed to go, he departed. I, for my part, all alone, thought, having asked leave, I shall go to die, or I shall go forth as a wanderer. 427. Then the noble lady Jinadatta, expert in the discipline of Vinaya, having great learning, possessed of virtue, on her begging round came to my father's house. 428. Seeing her in our house, rising up from my seat, I offered it to her. Having paid homage to her feet, when she had sat down, I gave her food. 429. Having completely satisfied her with food and drink, and hard food and what was stored there, I said, noble lady, I wish to go forth. 430. Then my father said to me, practice the Dhamma in this very place, child, with food and drink, satisfy ascetics and twice-born Brahmins. Stop here for a moment. These twice-born Brahmins, it's first time when they are born as a human being, second time probably when they go forth. 431. Then I said to my father, lamenting, having cupped my hands, evil indeed was the action done by me. It was a karma done by me. I shall destroy it. 432. Then my father said to me, attain enlightenment and the foremost Dhamma, and obtain quenching, which is the best of men, which the best of men realized. 433. Having saluted my mother and father and all the group of my relatives, when I had gone forth for 7 days, I attained the 3 knowledges. 434. I know my last 7 births. I shall relate to you the action of which this is the fruit and result. Listen to it with attentive mind. 435. In the city of Therigatha, I was a goldsmith, possessing much wealth. Intoxicated by pride in my youth, I had sexual intercourse with another's wife. 436. I, having fallen from there, was cooked in hell. I cooked for a long time, and rising up from there, I entered the womb of a female monkey. 437. A great monkey, leader of the herd, castrated me when I was 7 days old. This was the fruit of that action for that same me, because of having seduced another's wife. 438. I, having fallen from there, having died in the Sindava forest, entered the womb of a one-eyed, lame she-goat. 439. Castrated, having carried children around for 12 years, I was worm-eaten, tailless, unfit because of having seduced another's wife. 440. I, having fallen from there, was born in a cow belonging to a cattle dealer, a lank red calf, castrated for 12 months. Having drawn a great plough, I pulled a cart, blind, tailless, unfit because of having seduced another's wife. 442. I, having fallen from there, was born of a household slave in the street, as neither a woman nor a man, because of having seduced another's wife. It's a bisexual. 443. In my 30th year I died. I was born as a girl in a carter's family, which was poor, with little wealth, much oppressed by creditors. 444. Then, because of the large amount of interest which had accumulated, a caravan leader dragged me off wailing, having removed me from the family house. So, large amount of interest. There must be a along during the that time. 445. Then in my 16th year, his son, Giridasa by name, having seen me as a maiden arrived at youth, took me as his wife. 446. He had another wife, virtuous, possessed of good qualities and famous, affectionate towards her husband. With her I stirred up enmity. 447. This was the fruit of that action from that same me, that they went rejecting me, although serving like a slave girl. Even of that, an end has now been made by me. So these verses here is very interesting, because you can see because of breaking the third precept, sexual misconduct, he went to hell first. And coming up, he was born several times as an animal. And even as an animal, he was castrated so many times as a result of sexual misconduct. And not only castrated, also born very weak. No tail, worm-eaten, unfit. And then in the previous last life, she was born as this girl and became the second wife. And because of jealousy, she was always stirring up trouble with the first wife, who was a very virtuous person, and make herself make people hate her even in that lifetime. And that karma, you see, carried for so long. Even now she's this last life given away in marriage to a few men or so. Even though she's so beautiful and so good and all that, they just hate her. They don't know why they hate her, but they just cannot tolerate her. The karma is so strong. Good lesson. So people who like to make trouble have to remember this. Now a great group of verses. Sumedha, 448. In the city of Mantavati there was Sumedha, a daughter of King Koncha's chief queen. She was converted by those who comply with the teaching. That means she was a princess. 449. virtuous, a brilliant speaker, having great learning, trained in the Buddha's teaching. Going up to her mother and father, she said, "Listen, both of you." 450. "I delight in quenching. Existence is non-eternal, even if it is as a deva. How much more are empty sensual pleasures, giving little enjoyment and much distress." 251. "Sensual pleasures in which fools are bemused are bitter, like a snake's poison. Consigned to hell for a long time, they are beaten, pain." 452. "Because of evil action, they grieve in a downward destination, being evil-minded, without faith. Fools are unrestrained in body, speech and mind." 453. "Those fools, unwise, senseless, hindered by the uprising of pain, not knowing, do not understand the noble truths when someone is teaching them." 454. "They, the majority, not knowing the truths taught by the excellent Buddha, rejoice in existence. They long for rebirth among the devas." 455. "Even rebirth among the devas is non-eternal. It is in the impermanent existence, but fools are not afraid of being reborn again and again." 456. "4 downward destinations and 2 upward destinations are obtained somehow or other, but for those who have gone to a downward destination, there is no going forth in the hells." Stop here for a moment. So you can see when they talk about the 4 downward destinations, the 4 woeful planes, it shows this has been tampered with later. And then 457. "Permit me, both of you, mother and father, to go forth in the teaching of the 10 powered ones. Having little greed, I shall strive for the elimination of birth and death." These 10 powered ones could be possessing the Noble Eightfold Path, plus 2 more is liberation and knowledge and vision of liberation. 458. "What have I to do with existence, with delight, with this unsubstantial verse of bodies? For the sake of the cessation of craving for existence, permit me, I shall go forth." 459. "There is a rising of Buddhas. The inopportune moment has been avoided. The opportune moment has been seized. As long as life lasts, I would not infringe the rules of virtuous conduct and the living of the holy life." 460. So Sumedha speaks to her mother and father, "Meanwhile, I shall not take food as a householder. If I do not go forth, I shall indeed have gone into the influence of death." 461. Pain, her mother laments, and her father, smitten by grief, strives to reconcile her as she lies fallen to the ground on the roof of the palace. 462. "Stand up, child. What do you want with grieving? You are bestowed. In Varanavati is King Anikarata, who is handsome. You are bestowed upon him." That means it's given to this king to marry. 463. "You will be the chief queen, the wife of King Anikarata. The rules of virtuous conduct, the living of the holy life, going forth are difficult to perform, child." 464. "In kingship, there are giving of orders, wealth, authority, happy enjoyments. You are young. Enjoy the enjoyments of sensual pleasures. Let your marriage take place, child." 465. Then Sumedha spoke to them, "May such things not be. Existence is unsubstantial. Either there will be a going forth for me or death, not marriage. Why should I cling to this foul body, impure, smelling of urine, a frightful water bag of corpses, always flowing, full of impure things?" 467. "What do I like it to be like? A body is repulsive. What do I know it to be like? A body is repulsive, smeared with flesh and blood, food for worms, vultures and other birds. Why is it given to us? The body is soon carried out to the cemetery, devoid of consciousness. It is thrown away like a log by disgusted relatives." 469. "Having thrown it away in the cemetery as food for others, one's own mother and father wash themselves, disgusted. How much more do common people?" 470. They are attached to the unsubstantial body, an aggregate of bones and sinews, to the foul body, full of saliva, tears, excrement, and urine. 471. If anyone, dissecting it, were to make the inside outside, that is, turn it inside out, even one's own mother, being unable to bear the smell of it, would be disgusted. 472. Reflecting in a reasoned manner that the elements of existence, the elements, the sense bases, are compounded, having rebirth as their root, and painful. Why should I wish for marriage? 373. Let 300 newly sharpened swords fall on my body every day. Even if the striking lasted 100 years, it would be better if thus there were destruction of pain. 474. He should submit to this striking, who thus knows the teacher's utterance. Journeying on is long for you, being killed again and again. 475. Among devas and among men, in the womb of animals and in the body of an asura, among petas and in hells, unlimited strikings are seen. 476. There are many strikings in hell for a defiled one who has gone to a downward destination. Even among the devas there is no protection. There is nothing superior to the happiness of quenching. 477. Those who are intent upon the teaching of the 10-powered one have attained quenching. Having little greed, they strive for the elimination of birth and death. 478. This very day, Father, I shall renounce the world. What have I to do with unsubstantial enjoyments? I am disgusted with sensual pleasures. They are like vomit, made groundless like a palm tree. 479. Thus she spoke to her father, and at the same time Nikaya, to whom she was betrothed, surrounded by young men, came to the marriage at the appointed time. 480. Then Sumedha, having cut her black, thick, soft hair with a knife, having closed the palace door, entered on the first meditation or the first jhana. 481. Just as she entered on it, Nikaya arrived at the city. In that very palace, Sumedha developed the notion of impermanence. 482. Just as she was pondering, Nikaya mounted the palace quickly. With his body adorned with jewels and gold, with cupped hands, he begged Sumedha. 483. In kingship, there are giving of orders, wealth, authority, happy enjoyments. You are young. Enjoy the enjoyments of sensual pleasures. Happiness from sensual pleasures are hard to obtain in the world. My kingship has been bestowed upon you. Enjoy enjoyments, give gifts, do not be depressed. Your mother and father are pained. 485. Then Sumedha, not being concerned with sensual pleasures, being without delusion, said this: do not rejoice in sensual pleasures. See the peril in sensual pleasures. 486. Mandatta, king of the 4 continents, was the foremost of those having enjoyment of sensual pleasures. He died unsatisfied, nor were his wishes fulfilled. 487. Let the rainy one rain the 7 jewels all around in the 10 directions, but even then there is no satisfaction with sensual pleasures. Men die unsatisfied indeed. 488. Sensual pleasures are like a butcher's knife and a chopping block. Sensual pleasures are like a snake's head. They burn like a firebrand. They are like a bony skeleton. 489. Sensual pleasures are impermanent, unstable. They have much pain. They are great poisons. They are like a heated ball of iron, the root of evil, having pain as the fruit. 490. Sensual pleasures are like the fruits of a tree, like lumps of flesh, painful. They are like dreams, delusive. Sensual pleasures are like borrowed goods. 491. Sensual pleasures are like swords and stakes, a disease, a tumor, evil destruction, like a pit of coals, the root of evil, fear and slaughter. 492. Thus sensual pleasures have been said to have much pain, to be hindrances. Go, I myself have no confidence in existence. 493. What will another do for me when his own head is burning? When old age and death are falling closely following closely, one must strive for their destruction. 494. Having opened the door, having seen her mother and father, and an Anikarata seated on the ground lamenting, she said this. 495. Journeying on is long for fools and for those who lament again and again at that which is without beginning and end, at the death of a father, the slaughter of a brother, and their own slaughter. 496. Remember the tears, the milk, the blood, the journeying on as being without beginning and end. Remember the heap of bones of beings who are journeying on. 497. Remember the four oceans compared with the tears, milk and blood. Remember the heap of bones for an aeon, equal in size to Mount Vipula. 498. Remember the great earth, Jambudipa, compared to that which is without beginning and end for one who is journeying on. Little balls the size of jujube kernels are not equal to his mother's mothers and etc. 499. Remember the leaves, twigs and grass compared with his fathers, etc. as being without beginning and end. Split up into pieces 4 inches long, they are not equal to his fathers indeed. 500. Remember the blind turtle in the sea in former times, and the hole in the yoke floating there. Remember the putting on of it as a comparison with the obtaining of human birth. Now, all these are similes in the suttas. So this lady, this princess, she is very knowledgeable about suttas. 501. Remember the form of this verse of bodies, unsubstantial, like a lump of foam. See the elements of existence as impermanent. Remember the hells giving much distress. 502. Remember those filling up the cemetery again and again, in this birth and that. Remember the fears from the crocodile. Remember the 4 truths. 503. When the undying exists, what do you want with drinking the 5 bitter things? For all delights in sensual pleasure are more bitter than the 5 bitter things. 504. When the undying exists, what do you want with sensual pleasures which are burning fevers? For all delights in sensual pleasures are on fire, aglow, seething. 505. When there is non-enmity, what do you want with sensual pleasures which have much enmity? Being similar to kings, fire, thieves, water, and unfriendly people, they have much enmity. 506. When release exists, what do you want with sensual pleasures in which are slaughter and bonds? For in sensual pleasures, unwilling, people suffer the pains of slaughter and bonds. 507. A grass firebrand, when kindled, burns one who holds it and does not let go. Sensual pleasures are truly like firebrands. They burn those who do not let go. 508. Do not abandon extensive happiness for the sake of a little happiness from sensual pleasures. Do not suffer afterwards, like the Putuloma fish having swallowed the hook. 509. Willingly, just control yourself among sensual pleasures. You are like a dog bound by a chain. Assuredly, sensual pleasures will treat you as hungry outcasts treat a dog. 510. Intent upon sensual pleasures, you will suffer both unlimited pain and very many distresses of the mind. Give up unstable sensual pleasures. 511. When the unaging exists, what do you want with sensual pleasures in which are old age and death? All birds everywhere are bound up with death and sickness. 512. This is unaging, this is undying, this is the unaging, undying state, without grieving, without enmity, unobstructed, without stumbling, without fear, without burning. 513. This undying has been attained by many, and this is to be obtained even today by one who rightly applies himself. But it cannot be attained by one who does not strive. 514. So Sumedha spoke, not obtaining delight in the constituent elements. Conciliating Anikarata, Sumedha simply threw her hair on the ground. 515. Standing up, Anikarata with cupped hands requested her father, let Sumedha go in order to go forth. She will be one with insight into the truths of complete release. 516. Allowed to go by her father and mother, she went forth, frightened by grief and fear. The 6 supernormal powers were realized by her while still undergoing training, and also the foremost fruit of Sotapanna. 517. Marvelous, amazing was that quenching of the king's daughter, as she explained at the final time, or last moment. The karma in her former lives. 518. In the time of the Blessed One, Kona Gamana, in the Sangha's pleasure park, in a new residence, we 3 friends, women, gave a gift of a Vihara. 519. 10 times, 100 times, 100 times, 100 times, we were reborn among the Devas. But what need to talk of rebirth among men? 520. We had great supernormal powers among the Devas. But what need to talk about powers among mankind? I was the queen of a 7-jewel king. I was his wife jewel. 521. That was the cause, that the origin, that the root, that very delight in the teaching, that first meeting, that was quenching for one delighting in the Dhamma. 522. So they say, who have faith in the utterance of the one who has perfect wisdom, they are disgusted with existence. Being disgusted with it, they are disinterested in it. So that's the end of the Therigatha and the end of the Khuddaka Nikaya. So I'm very happy I've managed to speak on all the 5 Nikayas, and it's about time I also take a rest. Old age is coming, my head is on fire. Anything to discuss?
Share with us the life of nuns in Buddha's time. When we read the beginning of the Therigatha, we find that quite a few of the nuns living in a kuti, a cell, they practice in a cell on usually days. At night or when they wait intensive meditation. Whereas when we read in Buddhist yoga, they tend to, in the afternoons, after the afternoon meal, after the meal, they will plunge into blind man's robe, and then the Mara, the center, will come and disturb them. So it seems like they may be practicing alone in the forest in the daytime, but they tend to live in kutis rather than under trees or just wander about outside. And it just means that they tend to live in a community. Can they share with us?
In the Vinaya books, we find initially the Buddha did not make precepts. He allowed things to develop naturally. And when certain unfortunate things take place, then only the Buddha start to make the precepts. So initially there was no precepts against women wandering alone to the forest to practice. But what happened was many of them got raped. And even if 2 of them or so, they still get raped. So the Buddha, after that, forbade women to go and practice alone. So they have to live in company. And the Buddha made the precepts quite serious precepts, like if a nun, that means a bhikkhuni, travels alone, it is breaking the Sangha Disesa precepts. When you break the Sangha Disesa precepts, it means you're halfway out of the nunhood already. You have to repent and then got to be reinstated by 20. For monks it's 20. For nuns I'm not sure, probably also 20. So So it's whereas monks can travel alone. So if nuns want to travel, the nun bhikkhunis, they have to get another nun to accompany them, at least two. So all these developed later, and so later the nuns were only allowed to live in communities. They are not allowed to go and practice alone in the forest.
Okay, taking the cues from here, for nuns, these who have gone for, they have been rules to protect them, so to say. And for taking the cues from here, we would think that we should also sort of follow the practice rather than meditating indoors. We should refrain from going outdoors, especially at night or whatever, under trees or meditating on its own. What's some statement?
I think that not really applicable here because we are inside a monastery. It should be fairly safe, except that there is a danger of animals coming at night. So if women want to meditate, they should either be in this hall or even in the women quarters. The women quarters was purposely built with a flat roof so that people who want to meditate in the open air, the ladies can meditate up in the roof, not go outside the women quarters at night. Because 2 years ago a panther came into our monastery, so at night, so we should not simply go out. We are near the forest reserve, so a lot of people, they come here, they don't know the danger. There's a lot of wild boar around also, and the wild boars are big, so big that even our dogs are afraid of them. So don't simply, in case any of you are new here, you don't know the danger, simply go out and meditate. It's not advisable. Only do it either in the hall or in the women quarters, nowhere else.
This was quite intuition, page 49. For all the last essentials and are more bitter than the 5 bitter things. What is the 5 bitter things?
I'm not sure about the 5 bitter things, but at the bottom, I don't know what is meant, but it's not very important. At the bottom in 505 talks about kings, fire, thieves, water, and unfriendly people.
Page
35.
339. Then being great Mahathera in all children. Seeing fear in individuality. What means by seeing fear in individuality?
What verse is that?
339.
3.
Seeing fear in individuality.
This one is Sakaya. Sakaya in identity. Sakaya identity.
And one more question. I think this is I'm asking this question on behalf of the visitor. How to make he himself to be more disciplined when he's back to the house of life? Then he was telling that when he was back to the treatment, he can sustain the discipline by regularly, doing meditation, doing something. But back home they know that they try to practice, but somehow we lack the energy. And knowing that sexual pleasure is a little sometimes indulge in some of it. So he wants to advance for what's the big point of the teacher, for he himself, how to get more discipline. One he is like at the household life.
If we can practice well in the household life, then what's the point of becoming a monk? What's the point of renouncing? It is very difficult to practice in the household life. That's why a person renounces. Also about the condition retreat and practicing at home, it's like a 100 meters dash compared with a 50-kilometer run. 100 meters dash you can run fast, but 50 kilometers run, marathon, can you run just as fast? Cannot. So that is natural. When you have a long race, like when you come for retreat, people make a lot of effort, and they think, oh, retreat is so good, I can make so much progress. But that's only for a short time. It's only for a short time. You're not able to sustain it. So sometimes they come and stay in a monastery, and they stay maybe 1 month, and they think, 1 month I stay, or 3 months I stay, I don't make much progress. Of course, it's a long time. You go for 1 week retreat or 2 weeks retreat, you seem like you make a lot of progress. But you cannot sustain that progress. So you have to use your wisdom. If you really want to progress, if a person is really sincere, then go forth. And after going forth, after you've gone forth, you have to train under a teacher for 5 years. Then after 5 years, go and live alone. Then maybe you have a chance of becoming an arahant. So the people know all these things, but they are not willing to give up. So how can you live at home and you think you can practice as well as an arahant? It's silly.
Yeah, for me personally, maybe I will take for granted. Sometimes you go through the sutta, it seems that those days many lay followers take first jhana, second jhana, even to the extent of the jhana. So not even me, even I discussed with some of my so-called Dhamma friends, maybe that gives some cushion for them to relate for going forward, so they can still practice at home or in the so-called at the society. Then maybe I can take first, second, or third jhana. I think this is quite dangerous for me personally.
If you have been listening to our earlier Therigatha, you find some of the monks and even the nuns and the Therigatha, they practice for 25 years in the forest, and they still cannot get one first jhana.
Yeah.
So unless a person has got very good blessings from the past, he has already attained jhana in the past. For a layman to practice and attain jhana is quite impossible. But nowadays, of course, you get teachers who say that the pupil has got 4 jhanas and 8 jhanas and all that. But can you believe it? Because in the suttas, the Buddha says, he was telling Mahanama, if you have the Mahanama asked the Buddha, he said, Bhagava, I understand the Dhamma, I've been learning the Dhamma for so long, and yet sometimes greed, hatred and delusion obsess my mind. Then he asked the Buddha, is there something I have not practiced, I have not cultivated? The Buddha said, yes, Mahanama. The Buddha said, if you have obtained piti and sukha, you would not be living the household life. So if you have attained jhana, you would not be a layman. But these people they claim to have attained 4 jhanas and 8 jhanas and all that, and they're still a lay person. What kind of jhana have they obtained? It's not the Buddha's jhana. There are many kinds of jhana, many kinds of jnana also, but it's not the Buddha's jhana, but not the Buddha's jnana.
And one more country, page 33, verses 3 to 1. Doctrine without basis for reason.
What verse?
3:1-8.
3:1-8.
I, O Brahman, having heard that Arahats, doctrine without basis for reason. What is doctrine without basis?
The Dhamma, the Arahant's Dhamma, without this translation sometimes is not very good, without basis for rebirth. That means which does not give you rebirth. Sometimes we read in the suttas, we find sometimes, like here in the verses, after 7 days or 8 days they become enlightened. And we think, why last time so easy for them to become enlightened. But you look at the verses by the Arahant Anuruddha, it took him 30 years, to become enlightened. And then also practicing non-sleeping, non-lying down, sitting all the time, and living alone in the forest. 30 years to become an Arahant. And that is like the norm, that is the standard. People who become enlightened in 7 days or 8 days, it's very rare. You have a boy 7 years old become enlightened, but it's very rare. From tomorrow onwards, we will listen to the past talks. Probably tomorrow we listen to the Samyutta Nikaya, because Samyutta Nikaya is very technical, a lot of important things concerning the 37 Bodhipakya Dhamma is there. You can listen to that. If you all have questions, can discuss. Okay, shall we end here?